to another episode of Free Mama Radio. I've got my friend Sway here. She is a wife, entrepreneur, and fun-loving Jesus girl. Those are her words, but honestly, I think that's something your best friend would say about you. So we're just all best friends here now. Her first business was a tutoring company at the age of 16 years old, and then a staffing firm at 19 that paid her way through college as she trained as a classical dancer. I knew I loved you. She went to TCU, and she's actually sporting her cup today. You guys can't see it, but she's rocking her TCU swag. She later launched a business consultancy firm, teaching creative women to build multiple revenue streams with their craft. Today, she enjoys serving her clients while working with her husband, OL, in their joint ventures. She serves as part owner of marriedpreneurlife.com, where she and her husband equip married couples to launch legacies through building successful businesses without straining their marriage. She is also a speaker, at one of our featured speakers at Free Mama Live, which is coming up in just a few weeks. Welcome to Free Mama Radio.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Honored for the opportunity.
Well, I first met you at an event, which is where I meet all my friends from the internet. It's the times when we leave our house to go meet students in person, people at an event. So tell me what's been going on since then. We met last fall. What are you guys working on right now? And then we're going to take it way back.
Yeah, sure. So much has been going on since we last met in the world, I would even say. So that has definitely impacted how we perceive and serve people. So ultimately, we work with married entrepreneurs or those aspiring married entrepreneurs and helping them launch, grow, and scale their businesses on and offline. Since the whole COVID pandemic situation, we've been really working with those couples who are ready to move quickly, get momentum going. So we've been doing crash courses with them. We have something called Love and Launch Crash Course. And so we take them through launching their business in 30 days or less. And it's been a wild ride. It's been amazing, actually.
Okay, so you guys are serving so many married couples. And here in just a second, I know you were going to break down for me the 3 different kind of couples that you guys serve. But most of what you know, if not all of what you know, comes from personal experience in your own marriage and being in business. So why don't you take me back? You said you started your first business as a teenager. Was your husband on the same page? Were you both always in business? Talk to me.
No, we didn't know each other when I was a teen. Well, we did meet when I was a teen. I was 19. So 16, no. It was just really, I thought, just something that happened. And it wasn't anything that I pursued. I had one of my younger cousins come to live with my mom and I. And during that time, I realized that she wasn't, I think she was 5. And she wasn't reading. And I was just like, why aren't you reading? I don't understand. How did you get this far in life? No, but where are you? I don't understand. And she's so bright. And so I started making these little cards for her, little phonetic cards. Didn't even know that was a thing. I just kind of instinctively did that. And she was reading a book within a week and she just loved it. And today she's in the medical field and she's doing great. So from that opportunity, my mom was like, that's not normal. What you just did in a few days in the week's time span for her to be fluently, literally reading a book. She was like, that's impressive. And I was like, okay, well, whatever. Then she said, well, I have a friend who has a son who needs a tutor. So maybe you can talk to her and I'm sure she'll pay you. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it for free, but okay, I'll take money. And so the tutoring company started like that. And then when I went off to college, I ended up keeping that business, that tutoring company. And I started working with autistic children. And as a dance major, I did a lot of gross motor skills and then fine motor skills as well, but then also the reading piece as well too. So it kind of just grew, and I have definitely a love for children and love for even teaching, regardless of what I'm doing in life. I always find myself finding ways to teach. So that's how that started. At 16, I didn't even know it was a legit business until I look back when I'm like, wow, people were paying me. I had clients at 16.
Yeah. Before you get into your non-entrepreneurial husband and meeting him at 19 years old, he wasn't an entrepreneur when you met. I have just got to unpack for a second how simple that was. You saw a problem, you solved it. And I think sometimes we forget that that's what businesses are. At their purest level, you saw a problem and you solved it. And I don't know how well you know my audience yet, but there's a lot of overthinking, right? There's a lot of, we make it harder than they have to be. And so that's what I wrote down on my notes. I literally you saw a problem and you solved it, and then you monetized your
Yeah.
solution. And
Yeah.
so I know that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
the point of your story, but I hope that everybody listening really just pulled that out. Like, that's all a business does, and we make it complex.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Solve a problem.
Beautiful.
And that's how I started. So that's really how it's been since then. It's just starting different businesses really by virtue of solving a problem. So the second business at 19, when I moved away to Texas to go to school, I started a staffing firm, a creative arts staffing firm, which I didn't know, what that was at the time, but and that's the other thing I always tell people, like, you don't even have to have all the steps in order to monetize what it is that you do. You don't even have to have a name for it. I didn't have a name. I didn't have a logo. I didn't have anything. Like, I didn't even know what it was called, if it was a legit thing, but the school districts were my clients, and they were paying me to hire and bring in literally like my friends, or me to go meet new friends and hire them to teach. And so I was like bringing them in and then training them. I mean, I didn't know, like, I just knew what to train them in, just, I guess, instinctively, like knowing this is how I'm teaching. And I was, like, I think a sophomore at that time. Yeah. So early on into my college years, and that paid my way through school, having that opportunity. And I still have that business. I still get emails today from people. Do you have people you can send to me? I mean, we're not even in Dallas now. And there's the business. It's still flowing.
Still solving problems. Okay, so bring us up to speed with your husband. When and how did you come into business together?
Well, it was not planned in the timing that we planned it. When we got married, he was in banking and wealth management. And we knew, like, I was already, since 16, already an entrepreneur. So I just like prayed for the days that we can just take a walk in the park in the middle of the day. Like, that to me felt like success, but he was always gone and always, just working. And at the time, the bank that he was at, it was like a good 45 minutes or an hour away with traffic. So by the time he would get home, he was just like not the same person. I'm like, something has got to give. Like, this is not what we signed up for. And we would have conversations, and he was like, yeah, I know I need to leave. And we even prayed about it. Like, okay, yeah, God said you need to leave. But then as soon as he gets ready to leave, promotion. And he's like, okay, I'm just going to take this promotion. I'm just going to take, and then that happened 3 times.
That has happened to my students. I will be coaching them, and like more than 5. I will be working intimately, and they will be ready and so close to their goals. And then it's like that temptation is like dangled. And it's like, how bad do you want it?
It's so real. It's so real. So that happened, and he was promoted and headhunted even from other banks, managers, and just other hiring folks. And they brought him over to whole other institutions because he was doing so well. I mean, he was really top 5% internationally. They sent us to Spain on a trip, put us up in the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, he was making that bank a lot of money. Right. And so then they got a promotion. He got, somewhere else and somewhere else. So 3 times. That last time though, I'm like, husband, you already said you're not going to take any more promotions. You said you're just going to husband, you're not going to do this again, right? He was like, okay, this is the last one. And then little did he know that literally was the last one, and it wasn't on his terms. So what we found out is that he was outshining his boss. And so that didn't go so well. Wow. And so in 90 days there, he was no longer there. So I was grateful because I was like, now you can do what you're supposed to do really in real life. Like, now we can start living. And it was definitely an adjustment, but he got on it right away. We started working, figuring out what he could do, especially with his banking background and wealth management. He has a real heart to help other families build legacies financially, being, good with the stewardship and all that great stuff. So he was doing that. He started a consultancy there. And then he also he's a partner in a realty company as well there in the Dallas area. So he's built a couple different revenue streams just from his businesses. And then, of course, now we're working together too, which was never in the plan either. But yeah, it's been a journey. It's definitely been an adventure, I'd say, but it's been great. Like, we would not go back at all.
So I know a little bit about your framework and how you work with different entrepreneur couples and how you talk to them, marriedpreneurs. Mm-hmm. You've actually experienced what it feels like to be all 3. So do you want to talk?
Yes.
Just like give us like the umbrella level, of what are different types of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, we've realized though, throughout this time since we got married until today, that there are really like 3 main categories of marriedpreneurs. And we, have lived out and are living out 2 of them right now. But the first one is spousalpreneur. And that's usually when A couple is wanting to transition from this place to the next place, but this is when one spouse is running the business and then the other one is working a 9 to 5. So spousalpreneur. And then next is the indiepreneur. An indiepreneur type is where you have both spouses are running individual businesses, separate individual businesses. Now, one of them could be doing a 9 to 5 as well, but ultimately when it comes to the business, they're two separate businesses. And the third one is couplepreneur. And this is when the spouses are working together in the same business. And so there are different dynamics for each one. There are different red flags for each one to look out for, to make sure that you are really keeping the core unit of your marriage like at the core versus the business at the core, and making sure that the business is revolving around the marriage versus the other way around. And so there's just different things to look out for at each one of those stages to make sure that you are, moving forward in the way that you really desire to.
Yeah. So I've experienced a couple of them. The couple in the indiepreneur. We are in the indiepreneur in our
yeah.
When I look at all the free mamas though, I know of at least a few from each, but I think definitely the most popular category of our listeners for today are the couplepreneurs. And so no, wait, not couplepreneur. You got to remind me again.
Wait, so the spousalpreneur? Spousalpreneur.
Yeah,
spousals is
most
one of
them are spousalpreneurs.
Okay, got it.
Trying to become either entrepreneurs or couplepreneurs. That's like the aspiration,
got it.
Right? It's like, who doesn't want to be the dream this way? Like, who doesn't have dreams for that?
Right.
I think once you catch that entrepreneurial bug and you see probably like how you felt about your husband when he was at his 9 to 5, you want them to feel that freedom and that personal development that can only come entrepreneurship. So for all of our spousalpreneurs, I misspoke. I need to hear this like 12 more times and then I will never ever. So all spousalpreneurs, can you like put that hat on? Can you like go back in time for me?
Sure.
Because this is super relatable. When you were the woman being the entrepreneur, doing the thing, and you had a husband who maybe didn't totally get it or like kind of got it, was super supportive, but like just hadn't made that commitment, that jump. Like what were some of the things that are spousalpreneur? What are some of the things you coach those people on? Because I can tell you some of the stuff that comes up in my community.
Yeah. Well, I would say this. One of the biggest red flags for spousalpreneurs just to look out for, not like red flag, like, oh my goodness, oh no, but like, oh, I'm aware of this. And now let me make sure, we get around this big hole or hurdle. And that is, as a spousalpreneur, it's easy for you to grow in separate directions because you can be, as the wife who's building the business, so engulfed in what it is that you do. And depending on what level of interest your husband has in what you do, then that can be something where he's like, it can be a type of competition thing for him, that we can feel like, we're married to the business more than we are to our own husband. That's one thing for sure. And just on the relational piece of it. But then on like the emotional side of it as well, is I would definitely talk about what we have experienced and seen so many others experience as well too, of how important it is to build together. Even if one spouse is building the business, this is what we always say, even if one of you is called to entrepreneurship, the family is called to entrepreneurship because it's going to impact the family. So just having that family feel and vision for your marriage, for the business, even if one of you is like the face of the business, just knowing that ultimately it's impacting the legacy of your family. And so building together, incorporating your spouse, even at those beginning stages, and just to make sure that he feels involved, he feels a part of it, he feels he has a say, you're seeing where you all can work well together. And even if he isn't like in the day-to-day like you are, but just finding a way to incorporate his superpowers. And actually that's going to make the business run even smoother because it's like you have this extra support there too. So that's a big thing. Now, are you talking about having that transition from spousalpreneur to?
Oh, I'm going to ask you about that at the end.
Okay.
Because we love takeaways like the Free Mama. We are big on action because here's the deal.
Yes.
I can get all enthusiastic on a live video. I can bring all my friends to Free Mama Radio and we can talk forever and pump people up in motivation and inspire and whatever. But I'm big on action tips. Like how do we actually implement this? So I'm going to ask you, not yet, in a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you for 3 tips for couples who are wanting to migrate from spousalpreneur and knowing we're talking to the mamas. We're talking to the lady folks here for those who need to transition as a team with their spouse, from spousalpreneurs to couplepreneurs. I want your 3 tips for things they got to watch out for. So you start noodling on that. What I want to know, though, is I want everybody to get to know you and your husband a little bit deeper. What are some of the biggest obstacles you two have had to overcome together over the years, and which stage of business did it come in for you all personally?
For us, I would say the biggest hurdle was when we were only doing indiepreneur stage. Right now, we're like indiepreneur and couplepreneur. But when it was only indiepreneur, it was so easy to turn into roommates. We say like the spousalpreneur, it's easy to turn into running mates because you're just both running and doing your own thing. And the indiepreneur, it's easy to turn into you're just simply roommates passing in the night. And then the couplepreneur is more like, it could be cellmates. It just depends on just as long as you're aware. And so that's that. So yeah. So for us, that was, I guess I would say, our roommate season, and we hated. I was like, we had to have a talk. This is not it either. Like, I know you're not at the bank anymore, but I miss my husband. I just wanted to be a husband and wife type of thing versus just like business partners, like just everything we were talking about. And that can be very similar for couplepreneurs too, if you're not mindful. But we were and you can be so involved in your own business that you start growing up apart versus growing together, growing closer together. And it can look like and easily turn into like a one big vision can turn into 2 visions, which is of course division. So I would say like for us, that was a big piece of just getting on a rhythm and really saying, okay, what do we need to make sure that our relationship at the core is what we intended for it to be, and not to turn into just like, oh, we're just good friends or roommates type of thing. So that was a big season for us. And it took time, it took intentionality. It took humility, of course. It took accountability. It took us being able to speak honestly with one another. And then also we had to put a demand on our own self-development. So we would not begin to become like offensive or allow those past offenses to stay there and become bitter and resentful. So it just requires all this other stuff, just for us to grow up really, and so we could have that healthy marriage and still run the businesses. And so we put some systems together so that will never happen again, as long as we're doing these systems.
Yeah, I love that. And, business is what, like, I can see at times, like looking back, there have been times, where Justin and I will get a night out and it's like, we're either talking about business or the kids. It's like there's even people, I think, who aren't in business at all, their relationship can come about their children. So what's something that you and your husband, what's like a prompt, like a dinner table prompt that you guys will use if you have something like that? Like, what's a tangible takeaway someone can have of, like, if you find yourself talking about business or talking about your kids all the time, to get back to the marriage part?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. What we do weekly is we have regular date nights. It's not always like, actually, we haven't been going out for a while, but like just having COVID. Yeah. But the date night is for us to know this is for us. This is our space. So we put boundaries around that. And then we also have like a day that we literally just rest. And so the date night, this is the goal. And the rest day, the goal is no business talk, no business triggers, no business reading books, no business reading articles, no business anything. Wow. And so what we have to, because we know these days are there, then we hold ourselves accountable and like each other accountable. And so there are many times when, I may ask, I'm thinking something, oh yeah, what about, and sometimes I don't catch myself or vice versa. And then we'll say to each other, oh wait, whatever you're about to, is this business? And then we're like, oh, you're right. Okay. And then sometimes it'll be like, oh, wait, I wanted to tell you something. It's not business, but it's about something that happened, but it's not a business statement, so we'll have to like prepare ourselves. So we really are very intentional about just barricading that time so the business doesn't overtake our date nights or just our rest days. And so those days are really just us. It's family. It's relaxing. It's like, what do you enjoy doing in life? And that actually builds this muscle of like a type of discipline where we get into the habit of that. And it's really refreshing, actually, because it's like a break from everything else that has been coming at us the other days of the week. And then we have this just sacred kind of time just for us. And so that has helped a great
Beautiful. I need to get a babysitter, a grandparent for that one. We're gonna keep noodling on that one. Okay, so I would love to hear from you those 3 tips for those free mamas who are listening, who are like, cool, right now I'm in my spousalpreneur. I'm doing my free mama thing. I'm building this thing for my family because I love my family. My husband has finally started noticing, like, he's supportive now because I'm making that money. And now he's starting to kind of wonder what life could be like. And they're looking to grow together. What are either 3 tips, 3 things they should ask themselves, 3 things they should watch out for as they grow into either the indiepreneurs or the spousalpreneurs? I think I'm getting them right.
Indiepreneur. Well, they're spousalpreneurs now, so they're going to go indiepreneurs or they're going to be couplepreneurs, right? Going into it together. Yeah,
couplepreneur to couple.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. So I would say the number one, just a quick tip would be to create, we call it a marriedpreneur vision, to create a marriedpreneur vision, even if it's very simple. And that just means like being very clear about what the mission of your marriage is and then what the vision of your business is, but not to create it individually per se, but really to do it together. And a simple exercise could be separately, you're going to write down 3 adjectives or 3 things that you would say that you want your marriage to look like, and then come together to see what did your spouse say. And then you're able to say, oh, wow, you really, that's what you want? Or, oh, okay, I was thinking the same thing. And that kind of just gets you and get your juices flowing. And then you can do the same thing about your business. So even if your spouse is not working in the business with you yet, they're wanting to do, couplepreneur, indiepreneur, it's likely though that they have an idea of what they want the benefits of the business to be. And so then you can do the same exercise for the business and just separately write down just 3 words, 3 adjectives of what you would want from your business, and then come together to say, okay, what did you put? Okay, what's the first one? Okay, really? That's what you want? Okay, second one. Okay, we're doing the same thing. Or third, wow, that's not even on my list, right? So then that way, at least you get an idea of where each other is, and then you can kind of write that out into, there's other steps with that, but you can write it out into a type of sentence for your, like a statement for your marriage and then for your business, and just having that vision. That's definitely number one. And then if your spouse is like looking to come off the job and either build their own business or build your business with you, like support in that area, I think it's important to have clarity of what that will look like. Now, it's going to be different if it's going to be couple or indie, right? Because they're going to be doing more. Now, when we start off as indie, the other thing I had a big, it was challenging for me not to help, like not to become my husband's coach, I just wanted to like, let me tell you, you're doing this all wrong,
And it's hard. It's hard, right? Because you're further down. Oh my goodness.
Yes. So it's, if it's indie, and even if it's couple too, but especially if it's indie, because that means he's really doing it all, like on for his thing. Yeah. So just being mindful of that and finding ways for him to get his own coach. And then you all can talk about it if he wants your feedback or help. It's just like, you don't want to see him make a wrong, costly decision that you've made. And you're like, I've been there. So just being able to talk through that clarity piece of it. And then I would say, thirdly is accountability. This is the thing that has helped us during our times, like when we're taking that rest time, and even each day, when I said that's the system that we put in place, is we have literally like accountability check-ins each morning. It's part of our morning routine, and really kind of started in a way, even when he was at the bank. So we just right now, though, that we're both, full-time marriedpreneurs, we're able to just set our own schedule with that. And so we really start the morning with that when we're having breakfast or whatever, we'll go over we call it our 3 wins, and being very clear about that. So I'm able to vocalize it like audibly to him, and he's going to do the same to me. And what that does is it holds us accountable. So at the end of the day, we're able to say, hey, how did your 3 wins go? But it also clarifies it for us too. And we started this process because when he was no longer at the bank, I was looking for his action, because I'm like, your action is going to get traction. And if you're not doing something, then the 1st and the 15th are going to come, and what do you have to show for it? So I didn't want to feel like that, coach. And so I said, hey, how about we do accountability just session? Like, I didn't even call it accountability. I just called it check-ins. Let's just do some check-ins so you can see what I'm working on. I can see what you're working on. Yeah. And then, and he went for it. And then that way we were able to start building together and just making sure we were also like knowing what the other person was doing throughout the day kind of thing. So there's more to that, but I would say those 3 areas for sure.
I love all of that. That is also practical. I love your first tip, especially with those 3 adjectives in business and marriage. And I just think to be doing that in marriage anyway with the 3 adjective marriage. Like that's just good marriage advice.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to be doing that. I have one more question for you, Sway. The mission of the Free Mama and the Free Mama movement is to make sure no mother has to choose between family and financial stability. Knowing that, kind of knowing these women that you're talking to who are starting their virtual businesses, either alone to be alone or to be with their spouse in the future or down the road. Is there anything from your, I don't even know how old you are, girlfriend, and we're not going to make you tell us on Free Mama Radio. You've been in business since you were 16 years old. Like that's remarkable. Is there anything that you haven't gotten to share? Maybe like a best, like a final takeaway or a best tip
Mm-hmm.
just as an entrepreneur without the married attached to it that you would love to send these off with?
Yeah, I would definitely say community, having the right community is so powerful because you're going to be exposed to things that you maybe never even knew existed. You're going to be able to have people to encourage you, like having that external support and not looking for your husband to be that number one cheerleader because, you know, as much as he loves you, he doesn't always get you, you know, and that's okay. But being able to have other people who get you, such as Free Mama Radio, right? And the whole community, just having that right community to encourage you, to support you, to speak life into you, to encourage you when you are feeling like giving up, right? And then to give you some real strategies, tips, and insights is so important to be exposed because that exposure really creates new opportunities.
I love that. Thanks for the nod to the Free Mama Movement Facebook group. You guys, if you are listening and you are not a part of it, it is my favorite place on the internet. I know Sway has her own community of followers. Guys, check out her website. It's marriedpreneurlife.com. We'll also put it in the show notes over at freemamaradio.com as well. Sway, thank you so much for your time and for explaining this whole marriedpreneur life for us and showing us what's possible. I cannot wait to hear more from you at Free Mama Live.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I so enjoyed it. Can't wait to meet everyone.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Free Mama Radio. Don't forget to check out Free Mama TV right here on YouTube for hundreds of how-to videos and interviews to help you start, grow, and scale a virtual business from home. If you want to join a community of tens of thousands of moms just like you, make sure you join the Free Mama Movement group over on Facebook. And lastly, if you want to learn more about how we can do this together, work to achieve your goals, and make you our next success story, check out my free training at thefreemamamovement.com. I'll see you next time.